Oregon State is on one of the best runs it has had in school history. It will be going to their third straight bowl game and have the ability to make it back to another 10-win season. While the Beavers are playing in a two-team conference going forward, they have not let that affect their play on the field this year and broke into the top 11 of the college football rankings, and look to not just win the Pac-12 title this season, but also make a New Year's Six Bowl. This has been the rise of Oregon State football, the program that was left for dead back in 2017. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I plan to release multiple videos a week this season. Also, let me know what your favorite story has been this year in college football in the comments section below. Oregon State football began in 1893 and has found off and on success going back to its inception, but heading into the first stint under Mike Riley, the program was in a bad place. The Beavers were going on almost 30 years without a winning season, but Riley helped set the foundation for Dennis Erickson to break that streak in 1999 and help lead them to a Fiesta Bowl in 2000. Riley returned in 2003, leading Oregon State to 8 bowl games and a 93-80 record, including one 10-win season and 3 9-win seasons before taking the Nebraska head coaching job in 2015. To replace him, Oregon State decided to hire Gary Anderson, who was coming off a successful stint at Wisconsin, but left due to frustration with UW's admission process and believed he could win more at Oregon State. That would end up becoming a disastrous choice for both the Beavers faithful and Anderson, as the once promising head coach crashed and burned, going 7-23 in 2.5 seasons, and he actually quit on the team mid-season. The Beavers' only win that season came against Portland State, and they proceeded to get blown out by more than 20 points in all their losses. He gave up almost $13 million when he chose to leave the Beavers program mid-season, and the school turned to Corey Hall as interim head coach. They proceeded to lose the remainder of the games, but under Hall, the scores were much closer. That was until an embarrassing 69-10 loss to rival Oregon in the season finale. The program was in a bad place, and they had to hire the right guy and give him time to turn the program around. Enter Jonathan Smith. Smith walked on at Oregon State in 1997 during a time period where they were enduring 28 consecutive losing seasons. Smith was born in Pasadena and played high school ball at Glendora High School, but head coach Mike Riley talked him into coming up to Corvallis, and the walk-on would become a 4-year starter, throwing for 9,680 yards and accounting for 59 total touchdowns. As a junior under Dennis Erickson, he helped lead Oregon State to an 11-1 record and a share of the conference title for the first time in 36 years. With wide receivers Chad Johnson and TJ Houshmandzadeh, they made it to and won the Fiesta Bowl. He had always dreamed about becoming a head coach as a kid after falling in love with the X's and O's of the game, and once he graduated, he became a graduate assistant for his alma mater before taking the Idaho quarterback coaching job. In 2010, he became the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach at Montana, and then the quarterback coach at Boise State in 2012. In 2014, he served as the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach for Washington, helping them make it to the college football playoff. Then his alma mater came calling. When Smith arrived, Oregon State was not in a great place. They had an undersized team and had just seen their coach quit on them the previous season. Smith and his staff focused on multi-sport athletes that they could develop into special players. Things started off rough for Oregon State under Smith, as they would be blown out by Ohio State 77-31 in the shoe. They started the season 1-6 with their lone win over Southern Utah, with losses to Nevada, Arizona, Arizona State, Washington State, and Cal. A road trip to Boulder to take on Colorado gave the squad a much-needed win, but 4 straight losses to end the season meant they finished 2-10, including a 55-15 home loss to rival Oregon. Smith knew the rebuilding would take time, and the administration also knew it as well. Smith said, "We took some guys that are 6'5", 215 pounds, and now they're 255. 2019 started off rough, with a loss at home to Oklahoma State and on the road to Hawaii, but the team finished the remainder of the season going 5-5, winning 4 Pac-12 games, including a last-second loss to Washington State that would have led to bowl eligibility. Things were slowly coming together for the long-term rebuild. Hope was starting to build in Corvallis until it was dashed with a 2-5 record during the shortened 2020 season. A win over Oregon helped ease the pain, but Smith was still 9-22 through his first 3 seasons as head coach. Most athletic directors and administrators would have moved on to another head coach, but the school understood and believed in Jonathan's vision. Had they made a rash decision, the program may have never taken the next step, but they believed in their head coach, and it helped the fact that he was one of their own. Barnes gave Smith a long leash when he was hired. That allowed Smith to build. He was patient with players, and he didn't fire any assistants through 3 years. Barnes told The Athletic back in 2022, "Let's just say what we were one of the worst programs in the Power 5. So I was not concerned with the wins over the first few years. I was concerned with the culture changing, the foundation being set, bringing the right staff. He has methodically built this thing. Let me tell you, I didn't believe in this team, as back in 2021, I said this." Although I wanted to put a positive spin on Oregon State this year, when I looked at their schedule, I projected them to go 3-8 and 1-8 in conference play. I think they lose to Purdue in the season opener, but beat Hawaii and Idaho in back-to-back weeks. Then I think they go on a 6-game losing streak, losing at USC, to Washington, at Washington State, to Utah, at California, and at Colorado, before beating Stanford at home. Then I think they lose their last 2 games of the season to Arizona State and at Oregon. I hope this is a prediction I am wrong about, because I think it'd be great for them to reach a bowl game this year. A loss at the start of the 2021 season to Purdue on the road may have caused some to hit the panic button. But instead, there was no panic, just hope. That hope paid off as the Beavers went on a 4-game winning streak that saw them beat USC at the Coliseum for the first time since 1960. They started the season 5-2, but only won 2 of their last 6 games. Smith fired defensive coordinator Tim Tibesar, which was his first coaching change as Beavers head coach. They lost in the LA Bowl, but had their first winning season in 7 years and first winning record in conference in 8 years. The Oregon State fanbase let me hear it that season, and I'm glad I was wrong with my prediction. Smith promoted linebacker coach Trent Bray to be the new defensive coordinator, and the program continued on a positive trajectory. They started the season off 3-0 with wins over Boise State, Fresno State, and Montana State before dropping a close game to USC 17-14 and getting blown out by Utah 42-16. They rebounded with 3 straight wins over Stanford, Washington State, and Colorado, and were still in Pac-12 title contention until they lost a heartbreaker to Washington 24-21. Though they finished the season with 4 straight wins, including beating Oregon, which knocked them out of the Pac-12 title game, and beat Florida 30-3 in the Las Vegas Bowl, finishing the season 10-3 and ranked 17th in the final AP poll. True freshman Damian Martinez rushed for 982 yards and 7 touchdowns and was named Pac-12 Freshman of the Year and first team All-Pac-12. Many wondered whether the Texas native would enter the transfer portal after the season, but he chose to stay, believing in Smith and the Oregon State program. The program started putting everything together to take the Beavers to the next level. They started Damnation, an NIL collective created by Kyle Bjornstad and former Nike executive Dick Oldfield, which partnered with Learfield Marketing. Bjornstad told The Athletic, "We wanted to put together a program that is going to catapult Oregon State forward. Many would say we were late to the party, but we would argue we didn't rush and we put together something that will be long-lasting and very beneficial." They added former 5-star Clemson quarterback DJ Uiagalelei, with DJU deciding to enter the transfer portal at the beginning of December after a mixed career at Clemson, where many called for backup Cade Klubnik to replace him. After the ACC Championship game, where Cade Klubnik came in to replace DJU, Dabo Swinney said DJ was going to back up Cade moving forward. DJ had started 28 games and played in 36 at Clemson, throwing for over 5,000 yards and 36 touchdowns, while also rushing for 15 touchdowns on the ground. He told the media, "Ultimately, I felt like I wanted to go somewhere where they'll maximize my talent at quarterback, and I wanted to go somewhere that was a little different and more pro style, which plays to my strengths." He looked into every opportunity that was presented to him and felt that Smith and Oregon State would be the best place for him, but did not know if the interest would be mutual. He explained, "Going through the process, this was one of the top schools I wanted to go to. This is where I wanted to be, but for a little bit, I didn't know if that would be the case. I reached out when I put my name in the portal and didn't hear anything back for about 2 weeks. After those 2 weeks, I got in touch with former running back coach AJ Stewart, and he ended up getting me in contact with Coach Lindgren and Coach Smith." DJ announced his transfer on Christmas Eve, and many began to get excited for Oregon State's upcoming season. Yet fans also proceeded with caution. After the Fiesta Bowl win in 2000, the Beavers slipped to 500 for Smith's senior year and many were having a feeling of PTSD. They returned a strong rushing attack and offensive line while putting together a strong defense. Many projected an 8-9 win season and a continued positive trajectory for the program with playoff aspirations down the line with the expanded playoffs come 2024. That was until disaster hit and the Pac-12 conference fell apart, leaving Oregon State and Washington State as the Pac-2. While there was uncertainty for the future, the team focused on what they could control, and that was their play on the field. They came into the season ranked 18th in the preseason poll and started off 3-0 for a heartbreaking 38-35 loss to Washington State. They rebounded with major wins over number 10 Utah and followed that up with wins over Cal and number 18 UCLA before falling to surging Arizona 27-24. They have since beaten Colorado and demolished Stanford, which saw their former 3-star recruit Martinez rush for 4 touchdowns in a 62-17 rout. They now have 2 major games to close out the season against number 5 Washington and number 6 Oregon, and are currently sitting at number 11 in the college football playoff rankings. They are putting together a special season, and they could play playoff spoilers to 2 of their rivals who are the reason they are sitting in their conference situation they are in right now. To talk about how special this season has been for the fans of Oregon State, I want to bring in my friend Saturday Shenanigans, who is currently a student at Oregon State.
The rise of Beaver football has been unbelievable to witness as a current student at Oregon State and also a lifelong Oregon native. I didn't arrive on campus until 2021, but for the whole decade before, I obviously knew the narrative about Oregon State football. They were a joke. Going to games as a child, I could see that Beaver fans knew that opposing teams were going to walk into a half-full Reser Stadium and walk out with the win. Beaver football was more about getting drunk with your friends and trying to forget how bad your team was. Now in 2023, everything has changed. The Beavs are back and the dam is built. Oregon State is 17-1 in their last 18 home games, and Beaver Nation is confident that they can win against anybody who walks into Corvallis. Number 5 Washington, arch rival Oregon, or even Georgia. I'm serious. Something that signifies the hype around Beaver football is the availability of student tickets. Before 2022, as a student, you had no problem claiming your ticket to the student section. Today, it's extremely difficult to get your hands on one because demand is just through the roof. The tickets sell out in less than 5 minutes. I remember on a winter morning in my freshman year dorm, I was woken up to shaking and a huge boom at 6 a.m. This was the implosion of the old west side of Reser Stadium for the stadium completion project. This is exactly when I knew the program was all in. The athletic department had seen the early success of Beaver football, and they knew exactly what was going to come in the near future. Although the uncertainty with the Pac-2 is looming, that only brings Beaver fans and athletics closer. It feels like the entire town of Corvallis is rallying together. This upcoming game against Washington might be the biggest game hosted in Reser Stadium history, and if the Beavs win, the party might be so big that Corvallis burns to the ground. Thank you to Embrace the Grind for having me on this video. I've been Saturday Shenanigans. If you love college football, go check out my channel and subscribe.
Thanks again for joining me, Saturday Shenanigans. Let's help him get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. The rise of Oregon State football has been amazing and has been so fun to watch, even if it led to me getting roasted in the comments section of one of my videos a few years back. But what do you think? What is the best story from this year's college football season? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more college football content. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.